Hey, I wanted to talk a little bit about torticollis, not just as a baby, but as the child gets older. So we've talked a lot about torticollis, and it's a tightness in the neck that causes asymmetries. And it can be seen all the way down through the core as well, potentially into the hips, in the shoulders. Some kids may present with just in the neck, but it's something to pay attention to, and you want to make sure you're doing a full body assessment, because anytime there's an asymmetry in one area, it can lead to asymmetries in another area. And when I talk about doing a full body assessment, you want to get the child down to diapers, sometimes even inspect them without a diaper on if possible, but definitely a diaper. I can tell from experience, my little one had a torticollis, and a lot of his came from his trunk as well. So like he had tightness here. But it wasn't as noticeable when he was fully clothed. It was most noticeable when he was in his diaper or bathing or things like that. So that's just a little handy tip for people to keep in mind. So when we do a torticollis assessment and then treatment, the sooner the little one comes in, the sooner it resolves. The later we see a kid, and by sooner I mean like 4 weeks younger, like those kids are in and out so much faster than the kids that we get at 3 months old or 4 months old, and the time it takes for things to resolve grows exponentially. So if they come in at 4 weeks old and it takes 1 to 3 months to resolve, if they come in at 3 months, it can take 8 to 10 months to resolve. There's actually numbers around. I don't have them in front of me right now, so I did sort of make that up a little bit. But I can get you the numbers. Just shoot me a DM if you want them. So what we also though recommend is though, even when they meet the criteria, so what's great is that there is a clinical practice guideline for torticollis, and they have taken all of the research out there and synthesized it down, talking about what to evaluate, how to treat, when to look at discharge, when to follow through, all of those amazing things. And what they recommend is, even when the symptoms resolve, so like range of motion is back, they are hitting their milestones on time, we still want to follow them up. So maybe starting at every month, maybe every 3 months, we want to follow them up until they are 1 year old or they independently walking. And you may wonder why this is. It's because in that first year of life, kids have so many changes happening. They grow so much. And every time they grow, it changes the length tension relationship of the muscles. So think about it. If this muscle here is already tight, so you've like, worked it out, stretched it out, strengthened everything that needs to be strengthened, and they are presenting symmetrically, there could still be a little bit of residual tightness. I don't know about you, but as an adult, like I have one side that's always a little bit tighter than the other side, it feels like, but if you were to look at me, I can move symmetrically. So now add a growth spurt in, and that tightness becomes more apparent. So you might see the tilt or the turn start to come back. If you catch this right away, which is why we recommend kids come in for follow-up appointments, it can get resolved that much faster. If you don't pay attention to it, or say it's down lower in the trunk, it can get not worse, but harder to resolve because it's had more time to like take hold. And in addition to the growth spurts, there's also the demands of skills change so rapidly. You think about it, a baby is born and they lie there. And then by the first year, most kids are on the verge of walking, if not walking. That is a huge growth in skills. And each time somebody has a new demands on their body, you may see them revert to old habits, because with the tightness, there's also weakness that happens. And so we all go into our preferred postures, our preferred movements, especially if something's difficult or challenging or new, we're going to revert to what's comfortable. Maybe it's not always what's best. So we can also see the postural preferences or some of the weakness and tightness come back with demands and skills changing as well. So again, that just leads up to why we like to follow the kids. Now, maybe your kid is meeting all their milestones on time, but they're doing it with asymmetries. I would recommend that you get back in to see your physical therapist right away, because those asymmetries mean that there is tightness and weakness happening at various points in the body. And by learning to move without addressing those, we don't want to stop the movement, but we also want to be addressing the asymmetries. All we're doing is enhancing asymmetries developing elsewhere as well. So hopefully this answers some questions about what to do, but I would find out where people are tight and where they are weak. And just because they're tight doesn't mean that they're not weak, but they need to strengthen the lengthened side so that they can lengthen the tightened side and then work on that strength in the new range. So it's kind of this balancing act. And especially as kids get older, it's harder to do just static stretches. I much prefer active. And one of the best ways to do that is to strengthen the lengthened and weak side so that you are getting lengthening on the tight and weak side. And as you get that lengthening, you're then going to be working on symmetrically strengthening. Let me know what questions you have about that. Hopefully that clears up why we like to follow kids longer. I know we hear a lot from families about like, well, they're doing fine, we don't need to see you anymore. And that's great. We love that you have taken that home exercise program and you have incorporated it into your day and your kid has made amazing gains. But we want to make sure that as they grow and their skill demands change, that it doesn't come back and get and be undetected or overlooked, and then it becomes a problem again. We like to be proactive with keeping our kids healthy and active and symmetrical. So let me know what questions you have, and thanks for listening.